right. Everyone roll a d20. And then let me know your number.
Crit.
Ooh.
I got an 8.
Who was that? Jimmy?
Is yours the 8?
I don't know. Should we re-roll?
Oh.
Yeah. Me and
Here,
Jimmy
you-
should probably re-roll this.
Roll, then I'll roll.
Here's mine. That's a 9.
Jeez, these 20s really not liking me.
Okay, Jimmy got a 5, 9.
I got a 12.
I got a 20. Should I re-roll that since they explode?
No.
Just see how high
You end
you
up with a
go.
46.
Just to see how if you could just continue to get more 20s. Okay, so then we have Juke, Willow, Caleb, and Jimmy. That is the order. And so how this is going to work is I am going to say something. I'm gonna say a sentence, or I'm gonna give an explanation of something, and then I'm literally going to say, Jimmy, answer this question, or Jimmy, make this up on the spot. And then I will wait for you to think about it and give me your answer. And then I will actually be writing these down. So they're locked in stone. Okay. And then after that, you'll almost like you're kind of doing a fill-in of a piece of paper, but you don't know the whole story. I will then tell the whole story.
It's Mad Libs.
It's mad. It's literally
Gosh.
yeah. Okay. So first we are going to start with should I open that? Well, you guys can see it. Well, I'll have you guys make this decision. Do you all want to just navigate around Discord to see stuff that I want everyone to look at, or do you want me to pull up stuff in Let's Roll and just share my screen?
In that case, I need to jump on Let's Roll.
Let's
I'm good
roll.
with Discord.
I'm
Discord?
cool with either.
Yep.
I do not care.
Either.
Discord's fine with me.
Okay. Willow? Or
Discord may be a bit more reliable for me.
Okay. Then everyone go to the Game Maps channel, and you will see the town of Shady Creek. We all remember that? We made that a long time ago. And since then, I have kind of fleshed it out, and I've even fleshed it out even more than you see here, because the sections that have more than one building, you'll have to do a zoom in to see what every building is in those sections. But that's not here at the moment. However, this is going to be the first thing we're going to look at. We're going to basically flesh out your hometown of Shady Creek. And then we're going to flesh out the fantastical game, The Red Bridge. And then we're going to flesh out the imaginary land of Ivaria in that order. So, Shady Creek, we have the hills. So if you guys open up the little map, you will see that B, as in boy, is the hills. And it's on the left, corner, south corner of the map. And it's a whole bunch of B that you'll see. And so let's see, who are we starting with? So Juke, where do you live?
Like within the hills?
Yeah. So we have a little complex right in front of Clem Woods, a little complex right in front of Kids Park. There's a complex across the street from a daycare, and then 2 complexes that are across the street from the fire station.
I would say the top right one, the one near Kids Park.
Okay. So you live in front of Kids Park, which means you also live just across from the elementary school. So you are probably the closest to the elementary school. And then what area would you say your character would have a connection to? Would there be a place you like to go visit often? Would there be a place that you would meet up with, one of your friends that live in the same neighborhood? And then you can also ask me questions about some of the areas as well as the park and the woods.
Okay. So do you want me to invent a new place or choose a place on here and describe it?
Choose a place on here and describe it.
Okay. In this area or anywhere?
Any place you think you would have a connection to.
Okay.
Or your character would. And that connection can be anything.
Yeah, I'm going to say Clementine Park.
Okay.
Is where Juke tends to hang out, and just kind of bum around sometimes, but also do like skateboarding, practicing tricks, and um, constantly banging his head and elbows on the concrete.
Okay. So Clementine Park have a skate park?
I don't think it has a skate park, but it has like like a fountain, an area with
Mm,
benches, like a stairway going around. It's a very like
I
constructed
see.
park where,
So you're skating illegally.
yes, he's definitely not officially allowed to be skating there.
Love it.
But there are a lot of good makeshift like rails and jumps and things like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, so it's a really nice park, but it's one of those walking parks. So there's like a
Hmm.
lot of paths and there's like rails and things for like accessibility where they 100% do not want people skateboarding. There's
Yeah,
like signs and they want you off the benches, but there's always borders there. When you go, are there other people that also skate? Or are you
yeah.
like the only skater in town?
I think there are a few others.
Okay.
Um, Probably some older high school kids who
Mhm.
Juke really wants to impress with his
Mm.
skating, and tends to just end up getting himself hurt in front of them, banging his head on the no skating sign.
Excellent. Okay. Are you a good skater? Or are you just learning? How long you been skating?
I think not a very long time. I don't think he's good, but he is daring. So he's like willing to just go for it, which is good in its own way. Um, so he can impress some people and get some laughs, but he's not technically a good skater.
Excellent. Excellent. Love it. So, let me make some notes. Okay. Willow. If you look at the hills, where do you think Willow would live? Her and her family.
That the complex right below Clem Woods.
Okay. Okay. And then what area on the map do you think Willow would have a connection with?
I think like Persimmon Park be a place
Persimmon?
she would probably go to hang out with friends.
Persimmon Park, which is O. Okay.
Yeah. Or where she like hangs out with Jimmy is most likely going to be in like Clem Woods.
Right. So, where do you think you would have like the strongest connection? Would it be Persimmon Park or Clem Woods?
Clem Woods.
Okay. Then let's flesh out Clem Woods. What do you do in Clem Woods? What does it look like?
I think it would be like kind of overgrown, I'd imagine, where maybe there's like a few old little paths, tiny little streams, from like maybe a lake further away. The like she would like go and explore, look for, whatever weird bugs or possible fish maybe in those streams, looking around the trees and possibly even having a tree house somewhere in there.
Is this a old tree house that's was there for a long time, or is this a tree house that you or someone in your family built?
I would imagine that it's like just a very rickety, definitely not well made treehouse that she made, or she and possibly Jimmy helped make.
Oh, so you made it yourself as like children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's probably a hazard.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely. But that's the point of it. You can't. It's not fun if there ain't some sort of hazard to it.
I see. What did you make it out of?
She probably stole some like planks from like you know how some houses have like an like their house is raised, so they have a bunch of boards that line the bottom of it. She probably stole some boards from the bottom of her house one day
From your own
and
house?
just used it and just dragged into the woods and like kind of like she probably tried to throw them up into the tree first and then just decided to try and just climb it with the board to put the board up on the branches.
Excellent. Are they nailed in or glued in?
Probably tried to glue them in. She's not allowed to have tools, so she probably was not able to nail in the boards.
Oh, that's great.
So it's literally just the rickiest, most derpy tree house you'd see.
That's lovely. But it's your treehouse. So I guess that's important. Um, excellent.
It's the
How
dot
how
that
often
counts.
how often do you guys go to this treehouse?
Probably a couple times each week. Definitely hangs out there during the weekend.
Mhm.
Possibly even tries to stay the night up there. It's like, here, I'm gonna take my blanket and pillow and I'm gonna just spend the night up here.
Out in the elements, really? Because I don't think there's a roof, right?
Nope.
Excellent.
She just goes and hopes that it doesn't start raining.
That's great. How big is the tree? Is it like a really tall tree, or is it like a derpy, like shorter tree where you can easily climb up, or do you have to have like steps?
It's probably more of a smaller tree, especially for like the original one that she made.
Mhm.
So it'd probably be like lower, probably a bit older too, where it's like
Mhm.
more easy to climb. But she's definitely thought about trying to climb a taller tree, but dragging the boards up there it would probably be too hard for her.
Right, right. Okay. So it's a smaller tree. Would it be short enough for someone like an adult, like maybe adult that was like 6 something foot, would they be able to get in like literally just by like climbing 2 steps? Or is it tall enough to where even an adult would need to get in, like climb up something?
It's tall enough to where so if this adult is around 6 foot, he'd probably need to go up a couple steps on the step ladder to reach like the actual boards of where the treehouse is.
Who made the step ladder? You or Jimmy?
I'm saying, for example, if they brought a step ladder out, they'd probably need to go up a couple steps before actually being able to reach it.
Okay. So then how do you guys get up into the treehouse?
Climbing, possibly bring a rope occasionally to
Oh, I
help.
see. So there's no other way to get up there except for just climbing the tree.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
purely just have to have the skill to get up there. If you can't, well,
Mm.
good luck out in the woods.
Do you guys ever allow other people in the treehouse other than you and Jimmy, or is it just you guys' special place?
All right, so all right, so Jimmy and Willow, they see themselves as the ruler of this forest.
Mhm.
So she will try to bring other people, such as Caleb, and try to like have them come to the treehouse. But before they won't allow anyone up into the treehouse until they pass the gauntlet.
I see. And what is the gauntlet?
I think I have to actually go back to look at the exact rule things. So it's mostly like
Hold on,
finding things, I
hold on,
believe.
hold on. Wait a minute, wait a minute. You don't actually have to say it if you want to keep it to yourselves, and then players can figure out what it is later. So you make that choice.
I want to see because we gave so you have to find these like simple objects, but we gave them the most ridiculous names.
Very cute.
So so like I think one was they had to find like a crawfish. I forget what we named it, but like a crawfish that's like by one of the streams, and you have to like try and grab a pebble from it where it's like little hole is.
Excellent. Okay.
So it's like try not to get nipped by the crawfish. I think one was like there's like a necklace up in a tree, and it's just like try and grab the necklace, and it's like we have no idea how the necklace got there. We have no clue. So it's just like where there's all these different theories of how the necklace got up. There's like maybe someone climbed up there, put it up there's a sign of love. Maybe it's just a ghost. A ghost just snuck a necklace. There's a couple of other things, but it's quite funny. Yeah,
Uh,
I can't find them.
no, I don't, but I think I understand. It's a series of trials that someone has to pass for them to gain entrance to probably the most unsafe treehouse building anyone has ever seen, which is just amazing. This sounds like something you guys would have made a long time ago, not in your teenage years. So when did you
Yeah.
all build this treehouse?
Whoa. So originally, because Willow was originally the one that made it, and then whenever Jimmy ended up becoming friends with her, he helped basically build it up more. So
Okay.
she probably made this tree house whenever she was either maybe 6 or 7, and Jimmy coming around sometime after that. I forget what age exactly. But
Okay.
that's like whenever she would have made like the original complete as trash to the treehouse.
Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. Next is Caleb.
Alrighty then.
Caleb, where do you live in the hills?
I'd say the one next to Crystal Creek Daycare because his parents thought, it's easily accessible if he needs to go to daycare.
Gotcha. And then what area on the map would you have the most connection to?
Hmm. Oh, definitely the Shady Mall. That's where he usually goes with the jocks or the cheerleaders to hang out. Oh, it's also right next to the retirement home. Perfect.
So you go to hang out with the jocks and the cheerleaders. What is your favorite spot in the mall?
Hmm. I'd say probably the fast food area because it's perfectly positioned in the middle of the entire mall so that wherever they need to go, if they want to go try on some new clothes or get some new shoes, there's a little spot to the left. If they ever want to mess around and like near the water fountain, they can just go off to the right. Or if they want to even sneak into the maintenance area, they can just sort of dip around the corner.
Okay. So there's a water fountain in the center of the mall, close to the fast food area, and
Yeah.
you're familiar with the maintenance area.
Oh yeah. Caleb kind of rules are meant to be interpreted when it comes to Caleb. It,
Mm,
staff only. So as long as he's not caught not being a staff, then well, he's fine to visit.
yeah, I think that's exactly how that works. Um, so this mall, by the way, is brand new. They just opened the year you guys start school. It is the hottest place everyone has been to in the last, since 1995, because that's when it opened. And it's very, very popular, particularly among, some of the older kids. However, it's brand new. So are there any places in the mall or one particular place that is like your store? Like you go there so often that they know you by name by now. You know the employees, maybe some of your high school friends go there or work there part time.
Hmm. I'd say probably some kind of not hardware maintenance, but sort of like a knickknack store that he tends to visit. Because Caleb always needs like different items or different things that he wants to either store in his bag or bring home. So any place that sort of opens up variety to him, he would absolutely eat up.
Mm, a variety store.
Yeah. Think of it like
Now,
dollar store or superstore, but for literally anything.
would this be a high class establishment or, sometimes they got a few things in the back?
Hmm. I'd say, for story's sake, I'd say it's always had a weird vibe to it. It was tucked into the side of the mall. It didn't exactly exist when the mall first opened, but slowly, bit by bit, Caleb noticed a new sort of concession moving in. And when it finally opened, he checked it out. The inside would be wood far wood varnishing. It would have a very soft chandelier light, I guess. And the person at the front would, you know what? The person at the front would constantly change. The staff would never be the same. It was always someone different, but he would notice one person who stayed the same. This old man with a beard who would always greet him by name, Caleb by name.
What's his name?
Uh, oh, no, he would always greet Caleb by name.
Oh, I
Caleb would have
know.
probably, I don't know if he
What's the
would have
guy's
figured out
name?
Mr. Willock. Kind
Willock.
of, yeah, that's the name he got from, the constant staff who are like calling out to him. He's probably the manager. That's why people are always looking towards him to manage the store.
Excellent. A variety store with a weird vibe with a Mr. Willock as the manager. Lovely. Moving on. Last is Jimmy. Jimmy, where do you live in the hills?
So I have a question. What of the five building sections there, which do you think would be the more expensive place to live?
Uh, let's see. Well, probably the middle one, so the one in between the one next to Clem Woods,
Okay.
and the one on the far edge.
Next to Clem Woods on the far edge?
Yeah,
Okay,
like
yeah, so that would be
the
where he
middle
lives.
one.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, they're closest to the amenities, the
Okay.
community pools and things like that.
Okay.
So you
Yeah, that'd
live
be
in
where he lives.
the middle. Okay. And then what place on the map would be your would be closest or have a bigger connection?
He spends the majority of his time at Clem Woods. I do have a question about the orchard. Is that like an active
Mm,
orchard that people are working in, or is it more of a
it
aesthetic?
is.
Or okay, so
No, yeah, it is an active orchard. Yep.
I think when he was really young, he would sneak into the orchard and hang out there a lot, but he got kicked out and chased out multiple times. So eventually, when he was around like 10 or 11, he migrated over to Clem Woods, and that's when he met Willow.
Mm, excellent. Okay. When you would go and sneak into the orchard, what was the thing you liked to do most?
He to explore. The orchard felt like this place where especially you weren't allowed to be, people were there. It felt like a busy place with in the woods, and he just loved it. He loved being near people, but also kind of feeling like he wasn't supposed to be there. It kind of fed into that kingdom mindset of like these are my people.
Hmm. Okay. What did the orchard look like at night when it was all closed up?
It was very spooky, but he was okay with that. Like, sure, there were lights around like the edges of the orchard because there were buildings and there was like the fairgrounds. But if you got into the heart of the orchard, it was really dark. The lights didn't get it go in as far. So it was quiet and spooky, and he really enjoyed it.
Now these are crabapple trees, which look like apple trees, only they're a little shorter than apple trees, and
Yeah.
they have crab apples, which are much, much smaller. They're about the size of like a large cherry. Um, would you grab a snack of
No,
the orchard cherries? No.
no, he does not like crab apples.
Interesting. Now, you would get ran off.
Hmm.
Why do you think they would run you off?
Because they mainly just because they didn't want a kid underfoot while they were working around.
Well, now you would sneak in at night, so
Oh,
there's
fair
no
enough,
one there,
fair
right?
enough. I think mainly
So,
because they were concerned about, "Oh, maybe our this kid we don't know what he's doing here. Don't know
mhm,
whether he's messing with the product or what he's doing, so let's try and keep kids out of the orchard."
okay. So it's nighttime, and someone has to run you all out. Now, this is a small town, so
Yeah.
even though it is a working orchard, at night they probably have like one guy or one lady or whoever. Who is this person that can tell at this point who you from like a mile away?
Yeah. I think her name was Miss Ballo, and she was just kind of like a very muscular, big woman. At least, especially to Jimmy, because Jimmy's very short and very like he's much larger than he is, and so she would see him and run him off. And she wasn't mean about it necessarily. As the more often he came when she told him not to, she got a little bit more aggressive and uh, insistent that he leave. But yeah,
Um,
not a mean person, but just she's doing her job and she doesn't want to have to deal with kids in the orchard.
mhm. Have you ever seen what Miss Ballo? You said Ballo, right? Okay. Have you ever seen what Miss Ballo does when you sneak in before she catches you?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think he's paying too much attention to what she's doing. He's kind of sneaking in. He's not really all that aware of his surroundings at that time. So it makes it easy for her to catch him out.
Exactly. Excellent. Miss Ballo is an older woman. She's not very young.
Yeah, no, closer into like her 40s, maybe getting closer to her 50s.
And now this is when you were younger.
Yeah, that was just like when he was like 7 up till he was like 10 or so.
And now that you're a teenager, you don't go back to the orchard anymore.
Not so much. He since being run out of the orchards, he started going to Clem Woods and he met Willow there, and so he hangs out in the woods.
Okay. If you saw Miss Ballo out and about in town, you would recognize her or no?
I think it would take him a minute. He would have to actually be like, "Wait, who is this? I think I know this person. Oh, it's her."
Would she forget you?
I think it depends. If it's been a couple of years since she's seen him, probably. 'Cause I'm sure she's run out multiple kids out of the orchard.
Excellent. Anything else anyone has in terms of like questions or anything else you find of interest on the map? Like as we move through the campaign, you'll be able to, continue to have connections with different places. This is just the kind of initial setup. So
What
any questions about the map?
I was curious about the conservatory because I do not remember what a conservatory is.
Mhm.
So I was just curious what that was.
So this is a terrarium conservatory.
Okay.
It is essentially so they have like a little butterfly exhibit where you can actually go in and like be with butterflies that are free. They'll have like a little area where you can learn all about like butterflies and plants, and so it's essentially a conservation, like a little tiny box of conservation efforts,
Okay.
but for insects and plants.
Okay.
And what it kind of looks like from what I'm thinking is it's actually it's a huge glass greenhouse basically. It's like a dome. And inside is like, you know, different biomes of plants, and they have like a butterfly room in the back and things like that. So it's a place where it's really popular with like school kids and children to go and like, you know, take a tour of the terrarium conservatory. Really popular if people are coming into town. It's a good tourist spot, stuff like that. This is a very small town. So even though these places aren't walking distance, I mean, you could walk, it would take you maybe like 2 hours. These aren't like walking distance from like where you guys live, unless you live like across from a place. But if you wanted to go like to Persimmon Park, um, you would want to take a bus because walking there would take a while. They have huge parks. They have more green space than most cities because it's a small city. It's a small town. You'll notice that there's not a police station. There is in the office center. There's more stuff, which is there's like a printing press and what else did I put in there? I put in some other stuff in there. So in some of the areas where there are multiple buildings, those will be flushed out.
What is the Stanford Communities?
That is essentially, well, you know when you like see places that are called like luxury apartments, but it's in like not a great part of town.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they are known as luxury condo communities, and they're really trying to improve standing within the town by kind of putting luxury on everything. Uh, so that's the Sanford communities. It's pretty large. It's the I think they're the second largest community. The Hills is the biggest one, and then it's the Sanford communities, and then it's the Henry apartments. And those are at the moment the only like living areas other than the retirement community.
Okay. Uh, what about KSW Manufacturing? Is that for like? Well, there's already a hardware store. What's that one for?
It is a toy manufacturer.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Okay, perfect.
Anything else? Okay. You can always ask questions or get clarifications as we actually play in the map. Obviously, this is the only first time. I mean, the only time you can ask questions about it, but that gave us a good starting point. So, if you all remember, I asked you to think about a rule of existence. So we are gonna again roll a d20, and we're gonna move on to figuring out information about the Red Bridge, the game.
Oh, I probably should have asked for clarification on this. Are we making a rule of existence for the Red Bridge or for Shady Creek?
For the Red Bridge.
Okay, perfect. I got 17.
Okay.
I got 17 as well, but I have to.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
So should we re-roll to see who gets higher? Again?
Uh, uh, hold on one second. Who got the other 17?
I know
Uh,
I did, and then
Caleb.
Okay. And then we'll get back to you two, but Willow and Jacob?
I got a 7.
Okay, so then Jimmy and Caleb, you can choose to either re-roll or, I don't know, rock, paper, scissors.
Battle to
Whatever
the
you want
death.
to do. Battle to the death. With
I, cha-
stick.
I challenge you to Pokemon.
Dang it.
You want to go first?
I have to rethink things through because I was thinking is this a rule for Ivaria or the Red Bridge? Is there a difference? Do I need to be concerned about it?
Let me read the instructions because
Yes.
it's a little not complicated, but it's interesting because Ivaria is in the game, yes. So when you make a rule about the Red Bridge, you are making a rule about everything inside the Red Bridge, but also inside of what the Red Bridge could change or affect, which is also Shady Creek. So it's,
Yeah.
So the rules of existence refer to a set of principles or constraints that define the boundaries and possibilities of the game. So these rules are binding and unbreaking.
Yeah.
These rules are meant to help you win the game, but are up to the interpretation of the world.
Okay.
And that includes the entire world, not just Ivaria, but also Shady Creek. These rules establish the parameters for what actions and strategies are allowed, prohibited, or rewarded within the game. And the rules of existence can be written or verbal instructions, physical components or equipment, or a design of the game environment itself.
Yeah. I have ideas, but I kind of
Okay.
want to see what other people want to do first before I throw in mine.
Okay.
I have a few ideas, but I don't know if any of them will work now that I know it's possibly, like you said, prohibited stuff or different rules. Mine is more like I guess it's more of a benefit now that I think about it.
Okay. Well, let's talk it out.
All right.
Could
Mhm.
I ask?
Yeah.
Could you give an example of it? Because like I kind of understand it, but my brain honestly can't process what it means.
Yes, I think I gave an example.
Yeah, you have your
Uh,
examples in the in-game
here.
chat.
In-game
Examples. Words hold power in Ivaria, whatever that means. The land is a spirit that you can talk to. Those are some examples.
So
So,
you
would
can
it be like
communicate with
if you
the land?
so essentially think of when you read the rules of a game, of like a game of imagination, um they'll tell you certain parameters, like, okay, you can, when you roll, you can roll doubles, kind of like the rule of this game. If you want to skip, your roll, or you want to skip, you have to give it to another player. You have those like mechanic rules of like how you play a game, and then you have rules of like how you're playing in imagination. So if you want to be able to speak to literally the ground itself as if Earth had its own autonomy, then you would make a rule that, well, the land is its own spirit and you can actually commune with it or talk with it. Um, so unfortunately, it can kind of be anything. So you're just going to have to think of what would be cool to be true about us playing this game, and then just say it. And then we'll talk about how it'll make sense.
I have plenty of ideas, but I kind of want to get the vibe of what everyone else is putting in before I be like, no, it's dark and gritty or something like that.
Rule number 1,
well,
everyone has to suffer. Rule number 2, you
I
can't
can
complain about it.
well, I can say that there are already rules of existence in terms of like how the world is. That's why we have the map
Yeah.
that I show of Ivaria. So if to give you guys some context, I kind of say, and this is kind of almost my own rule of existence, but I say that the world is, splendiferous, wondrous, and dangerous. So that's very like broad, but it gives you an idea of how I'm building the world. But it's also giving, everyone a lot of leeway of like what they add. So it is a splendid place. It's amazing. It's wondrous, but also dangerous in a lot of ways.
I have one that I like if y'all want me to just dive in.
Yeah.
Kick it off.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. My rule is anything that you lose or give up in the game becomes a part of Ivaria
Mm.
Oh,
forever.
sorry.
I like that.
say goodbye to your Twinkie.
Winky Mountain.
So wait, are we talking about it in sort of like a scavenging sense or in sort of a transmutative sense? Like if I drop let's say, for example, pair of glasses in Avaria, and the next time we visit, glasses are suddenly growing from trees. Is that what
So
you meant?
that is
Ye-
up to interpretation of the world, which is me.
Yep, that's where
That
the
w- that-
DM decide.
Okay.
That was the
I
way
actually
I
really
was
like that.
thinking of it, but
Yeah.
So anything that you lose or give up when you are in the world, physically in the world of Ivaria,
yes.
becomes a part of the world.
Yes.
I like that.
I was imagining that even as like you go into the world and say, I want to give up my feeling of regret over a lie that I told. And then that feeling of regret stays there and becomes something. But when you leave, it's gone. You don't have it anymore.
Okay.
But of course,
Ooh.
that's up to interpretation as well.
I think that's going to be really interesting, whatever form it takes.
Mhm.
In that case, I got one that might work with it. We up for that?
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me just finish writing because you kind of clarified that more of not only if anything you lose or give up stays in the world, but you also don't take it with you.
Yeah.
So that's an important caveat to the rules. I just wanted to make sure I capture that. Okay. Caleb, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm thinking sort of a rule of adventuring or scavenging. So Ivaria is this magical, wondrous place where the rules don't exactly apply. You can give up emotions, you can, I don't know, jump on clouds if you want. So I'm thinking the things you could probably find there have this same sort of wondrous or inane property. One rule I'm thinking is if someone wants to go scavenging or adventuring or exploring, they may end up finding something like, oh, I don't know, a giant flower bulb that can that can act as a trampoline if you want.
Okay. So what's the rule?
Uh, the See, that's where I think my thoughts differed. I wasn't thinking of it exactly as a rule. I was thinking of it as something added to the world.
Okay. It can be added to the world, but it needs to be added as a rule. So
Okay.
essentially being like there can be those, really cool items that can turn into trampolines, but then you need to make a rule of how they work and what they
Right.
can do and what they can't do and what other people can do to them.
Like a rule where nothing is a constant, so it can change and mold over
Oh,
time.
okay.
So you can
Um,
find a light and then it suddenly can turn into like a trampoline, like you were saying.
okay. I
Like
guess like a rule
properties
of
change.
imagination in this case, where if you want something to exist, you have to sort of think it into being, in a sense. Imagine it in this case, kind of like how do I describe it? Kind of
Yeah,
like
no,
how.
I get
Oh,
it.
you get
I
it?
was going to
Okay.
clarify though. Do you want it to be thinking?
Maybe a mix of thinking and feeling, because you have to really believe in Avaria to make it happen.
Okay. And then if it's thinking and feeling, is that automatic or can you choose it?
At the risk of making it a little chaotic, I think we should make it some kind of role, because if you fail the role, you could end up thinking or feeling something that you don't exactly want, and that would bring it into life.
Yeah, I think of Avaria being like its own sentient being, and your thoughts and feelings are like universal, but not to everyone, just the world. So it can interpret those feelings and ideas and can choose to turn those
Ooh.
into
Okay,
reality.
Kind of
that would
like
be
genie wishes.
that would be a different
Yeah.
rule though. So it sounds like, Caleb, you would want the rule of imagination rules in terms of like if you think and feel something, it can come into existence when you're when you're in Avaria. That'd be one
Exactly.
full rule.
Okay.
And then Willow, you can add to that rule if you want to be like, not only can you think and feel and it comes into being, but the land you're actually on can interpret it themselves.
Yeah, because I don't know. I just imagine it as it's like it is its own. It's a sentient thing. Like the world around, even whatever objects can be sentient. Like how you're talking about, like communicating. Like you could communicate with the ground. I think of like the entire world being that sort of thing that can communicate with you, but not all of it will necessarily choose to, and so it can choose to interpret it or not.
Okay, so this is what we have so far. Anything that you lose or give up when you are in the world of Avaria becomes part of the world and does not leave with you. Imagination rules. If you think or feel it, it can physically manifest in the world. And Ivaria, as a space and time and world itself, is a sentient being of which you can communicate with, and they can interpret your feelings and thoughts.
I like that. My question is, what would it do with those interpretations and feelings? Like, would it change the world according
That's a
to?
great
I
question.
think that's
We'll
again
have
up to the
to
DM.
yeah,
Oh
we'll
Yeah,
no.
I mean, if it's its own sentient being, I think it would choose. Because if everything like isn't a constant, like because it's just the idea, like where everything isn't a constant, so it can change with like imagination. When shouldn't the world, since it's its own sentient being, also be able to use and change things towards its own imagination? Because it can interpret yours and possibly turn itself into what you're imagining or feeling.
Like watching television and getting a dream about it or something?
It could be, or it could be watching these strange beings come onto your world and give you something you've never experienced before, which is thoughts and feelings of humanity, and then mimicking them. So becoming human.
Oh god, we're gonna verse zombies and like doppelgangers and stuff.
Oh
This is
my
gonna be
gosh,
terrifying.
no one watch any sort of doppelganger movie before going to this world. Otherwise, we're gonna have a serious problem on our hands.
Caleb walks up to Willow. Hello there, Willow. How's it going?
No, she will immediately punch you back. Nope, we're not doing this. Goodbye.
Oh,
Here's the thing. Willow has punched Caleb before, so is that actual friend punch or is that get away from me, you're not Caleb punch?
No, get away from me. Because if he were to come up to, like, let's say he goes behind like a bush and then suddenly just appears
Another Caleb.
randomly around her and just goes, "Hi, Kayla." Hi, Willow. She's like, "No."
Hi, Caleb. How's it going, Caleb? Oh, Caleb, you're so nice.
Oh my gosh.
I misspoke.
You could be friendly doppelgangers.
Now, this is already a wealth of possibilities. Loving it. But we have one more.
yes. The idea I have, and I'm gonna try and phrase it as a rule. It sounds a little vague, so that's probably good. Is when a tax collector is always born when a gift is given in an Ivaria.
A tax collector?
I don't know.
Does that mean if something is given in the world, there's a part of it that's always taken?
I'm not sure. I
Is
think
that what you're trying to say?
the general idea I've
Or
been trying to mull over is if a deal is made or a gift is given, there's something out there that is created. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's something connected to the deal that was made or the gift that was given.
Okay. So
Hmm.
I think because we already have a rule talking about something you lose or give up,
Yeah.
I think yours would be good if we just stuck with deals.
Yeah.
Um, so let's flush that out. Okay. So essentially something happens when you make a deal in Avaria.
My general idea is there's no free rides. If you make a deal in Ivaria, you can't get out of it. There's always something that will make you complete the deal, or there's something that will come after you to make sure that there's always a toll taken.
Yeah. So number 1, deals are binding,
Yes.
essentially. And number 2, very much the rule of nothing is given for free. So I mean that is kind of what a deal is. It's an
Yeah.
exchange of things. But are you saying that deals in Avaria are always uneven?
Or like
Or can they be equal?
when you
Like
you can
can
make a deal, but when you make a deal, Avaria will create something to make sure that that deal comes to fruition. That both sides of the deal are
ah,
made. So whether it's the land itself changing to make sure the deal happens, or it's a creature that's been created to come and make sure that you finish what you've started.
interesting. Okay. Let me write
so,
this down.
like, just to get like an idea of this. So let's say that they make a deal with the land for someone or for it to somehow lead them to maybe a place that they've heard of in the world. So it creates a creature that's like a tour guide,
Mhm.
but in return they give it something like
Maybe.
maybe
Yeah.
like
A
I don't
ham
know,
and
maybe
cheese
We're gonna keep
sandwich.
it
No
yeah,
more,
we're
no
gonna
less.
keep it vague. But I think the rule is that deals in Avaria are binding,
Yes.
and binders, which I don't know if that's gonna be the name that I give them, but essentially binders are created by Avaria and they will be assigned to those who make the deal to make sure that the deal completes.
Yeah. There's
What
always
that'll look
yeah.
like, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I'm gonna go back through all of you guys and clarify the time. So I'll start with you, Jimmy. Is this so? And I don't think I need to do Juke because you said the word forever. But for
Yes.
Jimmy, if you are in the world of Avaria, this happens.
Yeah.
So when you leave Avaria, Does this follow you? That's the first question.
I almost think it won't let you leave Ivaria until the deal is done.
Okay.
Or it would be something where it follows you. Both work. Either way, Ivaria makes sure that you you will pay the due. You'll keep your side
Okay.
of the deal.
It is forever.
Following is scarier.
Yeah, that also
So,
is scary.
okay, so it is forever.
Yes.
Now, when you say forever, what does that mean? Does that mean till death?
I think death would be the final toll if you have no other way to pay, but I would also want to leave it up to your interpretation of how you want Ivaria to take its part of the deal.
Okay. So I will just put forever, and we will leave that as it is. Back to Willow. Ivaria is a sentient being and can communicate with you and interpret your own world. Now, again, does that only happen when you are in the land of Ivaria, or does it happen? Can you figure out how to communicate with the world even when you're outside of it?
I think depending, because you did mention something about like having the game pieces. So what if people who have or like are holding the game pieces, they're able to somewhat communicate with the world. But
Okay.
in order to fully communicate with it and like have stuff transpire, you have to be in the game.
Okay. So you need some type of connection, which could be a game piece or something from the world of Bavaria, to actually try to communicate at least.
Yeah.
Okay. And then another question on that, is this something that anyone can do? Or do you have to be special?
I think anyone can do it, but if like something specific, like try to think. I think for some people, depending on how attached possibly the world is to them or they are to the world, like how much I guess they believe they can accomplish and learn more about the world than the others.
Okay. And then can this communication be attempted at any time? Like any time during the day, any time during the year? Is there any rule you want to add to this or any caveat that you want to add to where this wouldn't be possible?
I do not think it would be possible in like a public setting.
Okay. Excellent. Caleb, imagination
Yes.
rules. You can think and feel anything into being while you're on the world. Is there a way that can happen in the real world?
Hmm. To play into, I believe it was Jimmy's
Mhm.
rule. Normally, there isn't a way to bring whatever you think and feel into the real world, but if you happen to make a deal with Avaria, you could temporarily bring what you want into that world as long as you fulfill the deal and bring it back. Otherwise, well, dealers will come for you.
Okay. And then, Juke, anything you wanted to add to yours? You kind of already said forever. You said anything you lose or give up. Do you want to finalize any of that language or change anything or add anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Then we have our 5 rules of existence spoken into the ether by the players themselves. No going back. Set in stone. I will be writing these up and putting these in the Discord um, probably after we finish today.
I'm really curious if using Ivaria's power counts as making a deal or not.
It does not.
Okay. That's curious.
Mainly just because you all are writing these ideas into existence, but out of everyone here, I'm the only one that actually knows what Avaria is. So I can answer that question for you. No, it doesn't.
That's good.
But these rules are magnificent. I'm already thinking of many, many fun adventures you all can go on to incorporate these rules. So excellent. Okay, we are going to take another break, stretch our legs, get some water, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Ivaria even more and really flush that out. Caleb, what does Ivaria taste like?
Sorry, what? The question caught me off guard. The air in Ivaria tastes fresh, like a forest. Like going hiking, actually.
And what is this? So it also smells that same way?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You asked taste, not smell.
No, I asked both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
it smells and I guess tastes like a wooden trail, I guess. Like how you'd feel or smell when you're in a forest.
All right. Okay. Now, Willow, what is the color of the sun in Ivaria?
I'm kind of thinking of like this weird like eclipse sun,
Mm.
Yeah. A what sun?
like an eclipsed sun. So it's like black, but it has like that rim of light, and it's just, and it just maybe like more of like pinkish, like a pinkish red color.
Pretty. Okay. Pinkish red. Now, is it a real eclipse in terms of like it's because there's a shadow of like the moon over it, or is it actually eclipsed? Like the sun is not a circle.
I think it like just has that appearance that it's an eclipse, but it
Okay.
doesn't have like the same effect of like an actual eclipse.
Okay, so it is a circle. Like the actual sun is a circle.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess that asks, what does the moon look like? What color is it? Does it have a moon? Does it have more than one moon?
I kind of imagine there being like more than one moon. Like it just amplifies that sort of like mysterious feel of it.
Okay. How many?
Gosh, all right, numbers. uh, you know what? Dice roller.
Yes.
All right, let's roll it.
D100.
Oh no.
You know what? Yeah, let's do. Nah, I'm just gonna do 20.
99 moons.
Oh my god.
Or I guess 5 moons.
Okay. 5 moons. And then what do they look like? What color are they? Are they circular?
I think each would be like a different phase of like the actual moon. It's like one would be like a full moon, one then like the rest would be like each like type of crescent moon.
Interesting. Okay. What color are they?
I think each would be like a varying shade of blue. Like the full moon would probably be like this clear but like slightly darky ocean tone. Then the smaller they get, like the lighter that tone gets.
Interesting. Okay, it's like a gradient of shades of blue.
Yeah.
Name or describe a monster or beast that is only real in Ivaria.
So the image that came to my mind was like a really large, kind of slender bear with 6 legs and antlers.
Ooh.
um,
Okay. Like deer
and
antlers?
deer antlers, yeah, like a big rack of antlers.
Wow.
And it seems more mysterious than menacing, at least in the picture that just popped into my head. Um, and it is called um hmm, let me think about that for a second.
Sure. Is it a like a black bear or polar bear or is it a weird colored bear?
I think I think I think it only comes out at night, and it appears dark, just sort of shadow.
Okay. Who have I not asked? Did I ask everybody a question?
Nah, me.
Okay. Jimmy, do you need to eat and drink to survive in Avaria?
I would say no. But eating and drinking in Avaria seems more enjoyable. The food tastes richer and the feasts seem bigger, but you never necessarily feel hungry.
Do you feel full?
Yeah, I'd say so. Kind of that contented full, like after you've eaten, but not eaten too much.
Excellent. And then is there a edible or drinkable substance that's only in Avaria?
I think that there's a tree that you can find where if you tear off the bark, it crumbles away like cornbread. And if you were to eat it, it tastes.
Interesting world you all have come up with. And I will also answer a question since I had five. My question is to name a magical creature that is not a monster, or one I wouldn't consider a monster, that's only real in Avaria. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the Fae. I was gonna do a witch, but I want witches to be real. Um, but there's no such thing as like real fairies or fae in the real world, but you could find them in Avaria. Okay, those were all of my questions about Avaria. We kind of have a good start. So it is, we've been going for how many hours now? Over a couple of hours. So this is what we can do. We can plow on and do some gameplay, or we can end now and come back for part two.